Today I'm joined by Arize of the brand More Than Basketball. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, no problem. So let's get into it. Let's just jump right into it. The other day, I tweeted something out saying we're going to talk about these pats on the back. And I think it was kind of a miscommunication. It was more so that we were kind of discussing that we were going to have an interview. And I think a few people chimed in on Twitter, or at least maybe liked the comment. I think you kind of took it the wrong way, and it kind of led you to start a hashtag, All Pats on the Back 2020. So I think it was a miscommunication on my part. It wasn't more so me being sarcastic. It was more so me just saying we were going to actually discuss that during the interview. But I probably should have just DM'd you.
Or clarified once you saw it was quote unquote being taken the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. I can see your point in that. But it caused you to start the hashtag, so All Pats on the Back 2020. And that's something that's a common theme of yours, where you kind of talk about online, where you kind of want your roses now while you can still smell them. So can we kind of just talk about that philosophy, how you kind of came up with that thought process?
Because I see like a lot of fake love. I mean, the reality is we live in a fake world anyway. We live in a fake society where, especially that's been magnified by social media, where certain people get certain passes or certain things get taken as law, depending on the type of engagement it receives, rather than whether it's actually law. So with that being said, a lot of things can be swayed one way or the other. You know, Barack Obama famously said, if I watched Fox News, I wouldn't have voted for me either.
Right.
And, you know, that comes from that mentality of the reality is majority of people are sheep. And even now, when you see from Kobe passing, you see a lot of people whose old tweets have been brought up. You see how people can try to change the narrative of a person and are like apologetic today because he's no longer here. But a week ago, they would have stood on those tweets. If ever needed to be reminded the tragedy of, you know, Kobe Bryant and all the parties involved, I mean, shows us. I mean, you got guys like Nick Wright, Jason Whitlock, you know, even like stupid people like who just made like a little buzz on the internet that like their Kobe tweets slanderous, like not even like slander towards like his game or like on court stuff, but like assassination of this man, who he is and everything around him. You know, people talk crazy about you've seen tweets come out about his wife. You've seen tweets come out about his children, about him outside of basketball. And people have been forced to stand on that, right? And they've deemed it apologetic and, oh, I'm this and that. But it would have been different had that man still been here. So we live in a world where everyone's opportunistic. People play that villainous role because it's empowering, whether financially or with a following or with whatever. We watched Skip Bayless do it to LeBron. We've watched Charlemagne do it to Drake. We've watched these things happen. So whenever there's a person who's talented, it's always the anti-hero that has that type of like following, because there's a large consortium of people who feel that way, who just aren't as bold to like voice it or to like build a brand or career off of it. So when that type of thing happens, you know what I mean? Like, and then a person passes, now all of a sudden that person's like, that people are like, oh, look how you shit on that man's life. Look how you shit on that man's career. Yeah, but those same tweets and stuff, or those same opinions, have garnered a lot of attention, a lot of support, or in some cases, a lot of money.
Right. So let's just go back to you for a second. So I know you're not saying you're an anti-hero, but you're kind of asking.
No, I'm saying I am the hero. I'm the hero.
Right. I know you're not saying you're an anti-hero, so you're saying you are the hero, but you're looking for praise in the platform where you believe that most of it is fake.
No, I'm not looking for praise. I'm talking my shit because people who fuck with me, and if you don't fuck with me, that's it. It's not like I'm out here saying like, yo, you don't fuck with me, but you should fuck with me because look what I be doing. No, it's those who don't fuck with me, cool, stay right there. Those who do fuck with me, let us celebrate the fact that we do good things for disenfranchised kids, disenfranchised communities. Communities that most of us come from. I didn't grow up like in like Upper Marlboro and Bowie, so I don't understand. I don't come from that like cloth of like of course I have both my parents, but I don't come from that cloth of like specialized training from a young age, traveling traveling the world, playing basketball and having this like amazing like privilege. You know what I mean? Like I had to get it from the muscle, like every step of the way. And so when I see kids who are like me and I champion them and they champion me back for championing them, let us be great. Let us have that moment. If you got an opinion on it, shut the fuck up. But if you're gonna voice it, I'm gonna be on your ass too.
But I think that's where the disconnect is. I think that because the platform is so large, I think you may or may not realize that you're speaking to people who you think who know you and to people who know what type of person you are, but it's open to everyone. And I think that's where people are kind of making an opinion based upon what you're tweeting out. So I think
people are making an opinion based on the commentary of the anti-hero. I think that's the foundation. The foundation is not tweeting stuff out, because any person that could say, look at things I tweet in terms of what I do for kids in the city and look at it as a negative thing, or look at it as like he should shut the fuck up about that and keep quiet about that, then those aren't even like, come on, that's not even a real thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but I think the tweets are misinterpreted. And that's what I'm trying to say. It's not that they discredit the work, it's that they read the tweet and they're like, where's this coming from?
I mean, I can't speak to that person because
to your point, you're speaking to your own people though, to your point.
I mean,
but
I can't speak to that
everyone.
Because like I said, that same energy is not met. Like I said, but maybe it is because I don't know. I don't know how they feel about. I haven't had a chance to have that conversation with people who feel this way. But when I started the hashtag and started pointing out all the stuff that people talk about, the things that they do for their city or the things that they do positively, stuff like that, I never see a person under my tweet after that, or a person respond to me like, like disagreeing with those things. So I wouldn't know. So you could actually be correct, because but also, like I said, we live in a fake world to where I don't think a person would have, when Kobe did that, when that gift came out, when Kobe doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rings or whatever, I don't think somebody would go under that and be like, he should be more humble. That they'd be like, he's talking this shit. Stop talking shit.
But Kobe has had some moments where he has been told that he should be a little bit more humble. In his comparison to Michael Jordan, to saying that he was the best player, better than Michael Jordan in certain situations. I saw a video. He was at the Drew League. He was like, it was just him and Wilt Chamberlain, and that was it. It's a short list. He's been told in certain moments too that he should be humble. Not to say that you should be humble, but I think that really what the miscommunication is, when you're tweeting, you're talking to people who fuck with you, as you say, but it's open to everyone, and everyone sees it, and they may not know where you're coming from when you're tweeting those things. But I think that's irresponsible to make that statement. I think that by making that statement is you're taking out the fact that, let's keep it real, a lot of these dudes sit around at bars, sit around at lounges, sit around at basketball games, and they have conjured up these type of things. Like they've conjured up, oh, Arize, I don't fuck with that nigga, he blah, 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 blah. Like, to act like those things aren't happening, or the foundation of that is on some Twitter shit, you're being irresponsible with your platform. But let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
So you are saying basically that there's a narrative that's out there about you, and it ignores all the good things that you do. And you're saying that people are sitting around and they're talking and saying, oh, I don't fuck with Arize, we don't fuck with him, this, that, and the third. And I've observed certain things. I noticed when you drop a project, it may not garner the same online support, even though it's a positive thing.
Online and it highlights locally, but
right,
but nationally.
But that's what I mean. Oh, locally, okay. I'm talking about, because I know you do your national numbers. But what I'm saying is, I noticed that when certain people drop things and is content pertaining to the DC area, it kind of does a different type of, numbers or whatever. And I always wonder, why is that, when it seems like you're consistent in what you do, the product is good. I'm a huge supporter of it. Anytime you send me something, I'm going to post it because it represents the kids in this area.
Right.
So I'm thinking it's something outside of that, and you're kind of talking to that. So do you get any feedback, or is it just people completely just kind of shut you out?
I mean,
how did you get to this point?
I mean, honestly, like I tweeted the other day, like I idolize Jay-Z, but I'm probably more like 50 Cent, right? Because I feel like that's just how it is. Like, to pretend like the game is not built on like people being opportunistic, or people being like taking advantage of people, or like people like, like people feeling like if he's up, that takes away from what I'm doing, so I got to make sure I keep him down. You know what I'm saying? Because like if people act like that's not actually happening in the game, and people don't actually know business, because that's part of business, period. And not even like a competition thing, because it don't even be about no competition or no money or no nothing like that. It's about the public perception, because like I said, people don't know no better, like nationally, right? Like, for example, we had IMG prep team come up here, right? But to the person who don't know no better, they don't know the difference between a prep team and the high school team. So a conversation could be had that like, oh yeah, such and such be getting IMG, but Arize get IMG too. So when people on the other side who get IMG, the high school team, they don't want that narrative, because it deems what they're doing not as significant, because they're like, oh, well, Arize does that same stuff, so Arize must be on that same level. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so they might do things to try to stop that. So that's what I'm saying, because like at the end of the day, it's not even about and I don't want to like run around like just talk around in circles, but it's not even about like, it shouldn't be about Arize, right? Like, I always told people, like, I've sat in a million meetings, and they know that, like, these people, because like what I'm gonna do in this podcast is I'm gonna either give you names or I'm gonna give you stories. So I'm not gonna mix the two, but there's people that know I've sat in rooms when all this NCAA Fed shit was going on, and they coming to get these coaches and stuff like that. I've sat in rooms with agents. I've sat in rooms with these different type of people who ask me questions about these AAU coaches. And if I wanted to win that badly, I could have been throwing a lot of these dudes under the bus, because I'm not gonna go to no federal agent. No, this is not even what I do. I'm saying those people would. Right? Because listen, hear me out, because the AAU coach may not appease their agenda, or the AAU coach, they might feel like it's in the way, right? So people might ask me that to have tangible information to take to the right parties. But what will I do? Not only will I not respond, and not only will I go off on the agent or whoever, because the thought that I would even participate in that and throw a person under the bus, whether I think he's a bitch or not, whether I throw him under the bus, I don't play the game like that. And I'll actually call that person like, bro, you and I, we ain't, it ain't even that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, it's some basketball shit. It ain't like you shot my block up, or you fucked my lady. Like, it ain't even nothing like that. So this is what's going on. I don't know what you're doing out here, but whatever you're doing, people asking about you, people inquiring about what you're doing, and your involvement with these players and involvement with college coaches and blah, blah, blah. People asking about you. Even with my college coach homies, people asking about you. That's the stuff that the general public doesn't know. So when it turns around and it's some shit that I got going on, or I put out a piece of content like this about a kid or something that's significant in the business, that's culturally significant, that goes way past like the on-court play. Like, this ain't no like overtime video or some little highlight clip when you're dunking. It's not it, or a crossover. This ain't even that. It's some like real shit I'm putting out in the world. I would expect that support, because on the other end, we know where we at with it. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we know this ain't like a real thing. Like, it's talking about basketball. This ain't a real thing.
I hear what you're saying. So you're saying that on your side, there have been people who come to you, and you haven't given any information up, no snitching or anything. But on the other side, when you release,
because I've not done no business with, like, snitching is if I was doing some foul shit with a kid, or finagling a college coach or agent for some money with you, and then we all get caught, and then I tell on you. That's snitching. If person asks me for information, I'm not. I wouldn't do it regardless because I know because I'm not cut from that cloth, and that's not my place. But I'm saying that wouldn't be snitching by law, by definition. Just like on the street level, snitching is if we both commit a crime, and then one of us we both get bagged, and I tell on you to make myself put myself in a better situation. That is by definition snitching. If I didn't do no dirt with you,
we disagree on that, because if you know me personally, where you could pick up the phone and say, hey, look, they on you or whatever, but if on the flip side of that, if you were to give information, that's snitching.
So let me ask you this.
That's just my opinion.
So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
So on the other end, then what do you call an individual when there's opportunity for me to get some money and they go throw some salt in the game? Is that not snitching? Is that not?
That's not snitching. That's just some bitch ass shit. But you already know what that is.
I'm just asking because on the same token, if it's about some money and there's an opportunity to get some money, and they be like, yo, what you think about Arize? Oh, nah, he be on some other shit. I wouldn't fuck with him.
Yeah, they're not supposed to talk. If you know him and y'all respect each other.
What I'm saying is, you're missing my point.
Not supposed to talk down on your name.
Right, but what I'm saying is, here's my point. If that's the understanding and that's how we rocking and rolling out here, and it gets back to me that every time we ask about you to these people, this is what they say: what loyalty do I have to you? If you're taking money out of how I feed my family, what loyalty do I have to you if there's an opportunity to get you out of here?
No,
it's just being a real nigga. That's it.
No, that's true. You don't have any loyalty to them. It's
at that point. You're a person who's calculating. You're a person who's strategically trying to get me up out of here. So therefore, when the opportunity comes to do the same thing, I don't owe you nothing. It's like if I'm beefing with you in the streets, if I'm there, I'm shooting your block up every day trying to kill you and your family. You know what I'm saying? What you owe me? What I owe you if I see you with your grandma and you slipping? What I owe you?
No, that's true, but it also relies on your own personal moral code.
Exactly.
So if people do you dirty, and then on your side you choose not to, engage in that type of activity, that's your decision.
Right.
But my question to you is, you have these people who are doing these things behind the scenes, supposedly to stop you or to hinder you from progressing. But it seems like it doesn't hurt your brand. You're always doing something. You're always engaged in something. You're always going to a different level. So why do you focus so much on those people? Or do you think that they're hindering you that much that you can't exceed what you've already done or what you're doing?
No, I think that, first of all, I don't know how do you define like me actually giving the energy? I don't know how, because in my regular everyday life, there's no energy given to that type of stuff. But if you're talking about moments on Twitter, like you have to be more specific.
No, not Twitter. But it seems like what you're saying right now is there are people who they're in meetings and people are being asked about you and they're hindering you from doing things supposedly. But it looks like you're still on your side of what you're doing. You're prospering.
Right, but how do you know I couldn't be? How do you know you couldn't add another? You could have added a couple zeros by now to that.
Okay.
By now, like how do you know what the ceiling would have been at this point without that type of stuff being said?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So you do believe that they're actually hindering. You could be at a different level if it wasn't for their input.
I'm believing that I should never wonder.
Okay, I got you.
I'm not saying I don't think no man. I always live by the code of what's for you is for you, good or bad, and nobody can stop it. But I should never wonder, because again, that's why I come in about the media and stuff, because people will validate these people because they win some basketball games or they win some basketball tournaments. So they get validated as if like you still couldn't be a bitch ass nigga. You understand what I'm saying? Like people will validate like for example, in the Wicked Jump Shot documentary, you know what I'm saying? When I talk to all these guys who made it, right? And they talk about how like people change and blah, 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 like, and everybody automatically looks at them like some victim. But what if you actually made it and you changed? What if you actually made it and switched up on niggas? That could actually happen. But people victimize the successful person. Like they actually couldn't be a person who get on and switch up. Like they actually couldn't be a sucker. Just who just happened to be talented, and it was in the cards for them to make it. So my point in saying that is that like a person, I should never wonder, because a person has a position, right, that's respected because they're a good coach, and I can never take that away from them. You're a good coach. You're a great coach, right?
But I don't think are you wondering though? Because it seems like you've already pinpointed who's doing what, who's been said. You've been told these people are in meetings, and so you're not really wondering. So my question to you is, why not?
You asked me. You didn't ask me about wondering if it's being said. You asked me wondering if it's hindered me. That's
okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, so, but if you know it's being said and you kind of believe that it is hindering you, could have added a couple more zeros.
I don't believe. I just wonder. Okay, I got you. It's almost like the pretty girl you had in high school, right? That you never had in high school that you wanted, and then you come up, you wonder, like, damn, could I have had her? I might have more beautiful women right now. She might be weak today. It might not have been cracking in high school, but it's just part of life. You're just always gonna wonder because these opportunities don't happen. You know, things are being said. I mean, there's a million high school coaches right now who will tell you there's certain guys who have blocked them from getting college jobs. That's happened. To pretend like that's not happening is for people to be oblivious to how the game actually works.
Right. So if you're saying you actually know, and you're not, you're wondering possibly in another aspect of that, why not just have a conversation with those people?
Because
have you had conversations with
those? Of course I have. I mean, I'm not the type of person to, like, anybody who knows me, knows the history of me, knows I'm not the type of person to say something, especially online, and not address it and not address it in person. Right? Because at the end of the day, like, I want to make one thing clear. I'm not a gangster. I'm not a street guy. You can't make it to this level trying to do both, right? But those guys aren't either. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like if I approach somebody, something's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a conversation. That's
what I mean. Have you had conversations with not approaching them in that manner?
Nah, the conversation goes. Go ahead.
No, I'm listening. Go ahead.
The conversation just go like, I don't even know what you're talking about, bro. I would never do no shit like that, bro. I watched you grow up in this shit, bro. I would never do that. That's how it goes. You know what I'm saying? But that again, that's business. That's that part of it, pretending as well. That's all part of it. You understand what I'm saying? Like masquerading like you're not this like hater, or you're not this like person who's like threatened. Like, let me ask you a question, right? Just your opinion, just you watching the game, surveying the game. Like, do you think that, like, the most powerful, influential people in the game locally keep tabs on what I got going on? Like, go out of the way to, like, let me check his website, let me check his social media, let me see what he got going on.
That's actually a question I have for you. So we know you released The Get Back, right?
Right.
Which is a docuseries focused upon the senior season of Jeremy Roach.
No, it was the Road to Recovery for Jeremy Roach.
I'm sorry, my apologies. The Road to Recovery. So we know that you have that docuseries which kind of focuses on his career after the ACL injury, returning back to the court. And I kind of wondered, are you receiving support for that project from his high school, from his AAU organization, from his family, and from him? Or are you kind of, pushing this project and the support on that side is kind of falling by the wayside?
I mean, I haven't investigated enough to know, but what I would say is this. What I would say is, should it have to be a question? Like, the fact that you're asking me that, is there something wrong with that?
Yeah, I think it is. But the reason I asked is because I'm not 100% sure if I may have missed it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I want to know.
What I'm saying. Like, should it be a situation where you missed it? Because if I ask you right now, like, about people,
I mean, personally, I haven't seen the high school. I haven't seen the org. I haven't seen him tweet it out.
Jeremy definitely posted.
That's what I'm saying. I may have missed it then.
Jeremy is 100.
But
and his family, like, let me clear that up right now. Like, Jeremy Roach, his family, especially his father, they don't even come from that type of, like, political cloth and all that. They're not even no type of people. Like, so, like, Jeremy's father,
right? That's what I'm saying.
One of the realest in this.
Well, that's my point. I may have missed it, and I may not have known. So that's good to hear. But as far as the high school, as far as the org in which they gave him platforms in which he could be successful, is that project receiving support from them?
I mean, I haven't noticed it. Yeah, so if it has happened, it hasn't happened enough to where it's gotten on my radar. So I can't sit here and say yes or no. But if it has, it hasn't. Like, I don't have to ask if Baller's Life supported it. Shit, I only have to ask if the Compton Magic supported it. Just because we competed against Jeremy, he's a kid that's going to do great things. we're fucked up at the fact that he tore his ACL and missed his junior year. We're glad somebody's doing this. We want people to see this. Fuck basketball. Fuck the fact that he's Nike. Fuck the fact that it's another organization. No, this is a kid, a human being who's done all these great things and got hurt. We know what that must feel like. So people need to see this type of thing. So like the fact that I don't have to ask if they supported it or Ball is Life or even like Capital Hoops, local people like that, like who show love, like I don't have to ask if they supported it because you're going to see it, you're going to feel it. So the fact that you have to ask, that's already indicative right there.
I got it. I got you. So let me ask you this then, because I know you are an event coordinator. A part of that is you throw events tournament. So with that, and you have this segment of individuals who are within a certain realm of power locally within the basketball spectrum. You're throwing events. Certain teams are certain teams off limits to your event, or is there something where you can go to a certain team and say, hey, I want you in this event, and they'll do it, or you just haven't done it, or certain teams definitely off limits for some of your basketball events?
Certain teams are off limits, but I understand why. Like I don't fault them for that. You know what I'm saying?
Is this something you did? Or is it something behind the scenes?
Nah, I don't think it's anything I did. It's just like you just got to understand the game, like how the game goes. You know what I'm saying? Like the game is big bank take little bank and big fish take little fish. Well, and to further that point, it's the concept of it, the thought of it, not the actual numbers. Because like I'm not trying to like brag or nothing like that, but we talk about like who's actually making the most money in the business. I stand toe to toe with all those guys, but it's a perception because everyone is brand washed. That everyone believes that if you have a deal, that means you have millions of dollars, which is the exact opposite.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what everyone believes.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone believes like, oh, you're with Adidas, oh, you're with Under Armour, or you're with Nike. That means you're rich, and the reason that you're independent, you can't be doing better than these guys. That's how people look,
right.
or even to the effect, people don't understand business, so they'll crunch numbers and they'll count your money and not even understand overhead. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so they'll be like,
right.
Oh, I'm giving you an example. I'm not saying no specifically, but I'm just saying they'll say, oh, we came to this event and it was 2,000 people there, but guess how much it costs to actually get the teams on the court to bring out those 2,000 people? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you probably would have made more money having a bunch of local motherfuckers and a less expensive gym. But the gym is expensive as fuck. The teams are expensive as fuck. But people don't care about that. That's what I'm saying. That's the marketing is all about how good you are at tricking people. So, like, they would understand that. So my point is saying that it's like, I don't know if I answered your question or not, but it's basically saying like, if those schools, there's a fiduciary obligation to hold down their sneaker affiliate or sneaker outfit, right? So if fucking with Arize is gonna piss off the like person of interest within that sneaker outfit, and where calls can be made and all, it's basically it's not worth it for them to even deal with that type of stuff. I understand their position.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right, it kind of puts them in the middle.
And behind the scenes, they've hollered at me and let me know. And there's certain things they do for me already that I won't go into, but we 100 on that level. So there's nobody I would specifically say doesn't play in my event, and I don't understand why. Like, of course I understand why. Like, you would be an extraordinary person to still fuck with me and say I do what I want. This is my program. But on the other end, and then also on top of that too, like it's also a socioeconomic thing. Like, and I'm not trying to like specifically throw nobody under the bus, but I'm just saying, let's just say whatever Catholic school on Wisconsin Avenue, they don't want to do certain things because they don't want their kids and their endowment around certain kids and endowment of another school. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
yes, you're saying there's a divide in the sport, socioeconomic divide in the sport, even in events.
Of course. Like if you walk up and down at certain schools and you peel back the curtain or you open the door, what's the lady's name? Vivian Striano, whatever. What's the Donald Sterling lady? Like, if you like played that role in like a lot of these like private like institutions, you would see that they're upper management or upper like whatever the word I'm looking for, like the powers that be. They're not far off that Donald Sterling type of tip. You know what I mean?
Oh, and that's all process.
They're not that far off, and they're thinking of who I am, the type of people that come to my events. Like we had the Uptown Hoop Fest at Georgetown McDonough Gym, right? That speaks
Right.
to who the Thompsons are, because the powers that be at Georgetown would never allow that. But that speaks to what the Thompson family represents and who I am to them, and what they represent and who they are and stuff like that. Because under normal circumstances, they'd be like, we don't want these ghetto motherfuckers at our school. You understand what I'm saying? So imagine trying to mix that with institutions that are specifically priced at a certain place, located at a certain place, to keep those type of people away, unless you're exceptional at sports. You know what I mean?
Right. So let's just go back for a quick second, because I want to ask you this question specifically, because I have to play both sides. You're saying that there are certain things that are being said about you in meetings, but have you strained relationships in which you may have said, you know what, I should maybe go back and clean that up now? And as you mature, do you see yourself have possibly strained any relationships, or do you think that it's more so just we don't want to see him succeed because it could possibly, it's a danger to what we're doing?
Right, I'll put it this way.
Or is it
I'll
both?
put it this way. You remember how like Obama used to crack jokes about Donald Trump during his presidency about how he would never win, but then once the reality of him winning, he actually had to be the person at the inauguration to pass that along and shake his hand and congratulate him and stuff like that. It's similar to that. Meaning I've said some things to some people because they're actually doing things I don't agree with, but you gotta respect the fact that they actually won, because it's not easy. No matter even if you're a bitch, if the fact that you're successful in this game is to be respected. You understand what I'm saying? Even if I personally think you're a sucker, it's to be respected. So I owe you to shake your hand and regardless of whether we do anything moving forward, or regardless of the fact that you had to I'm not gonna say sell out, because it's all part of the game, but regardless of you had to align yourself with certain individuals to breed certain results, you still were successful because everybody can't win that way. So I gotta shake your hand. You know what I'm saying?
So, and I think that's an honorable thing that you shake their hand for winning. But and I'm pretty sure by living here, there's a large population in America who is perfectly okay with Donald Trump carrying a grudge against Obama for the way he was treated before he was the president. So, on the flip side of that, yes, you are an honorable person in saying, you know what, I want to congratulate you for winning, but now they're holding a grudge against you, and they're probably never going to let it go.
Well, I mean, I don't personally think I have.
He's still talking about Obama now.
Right.
Obama's almost served a full term. Obama's
right.
What
I'm saying is that I don't think I have that type of issue with anybody in the area to where it would stop them from playing in one of my. I think if anything at this point, because at the end of the day, it's almost in another example, it's almost similar to the Dan Gilbert LeBron situation. It's almost at this point, it's all right, Arize has a platform. It's obvious. It's the kids know who he is because the kids are playing in his events before they even get to us. So it's he has a relationship with the kids, with the families, with the college coaches. It's a respected platform. So it doesn't hurt us. It only helps us. He can reach out and go grab basically any school in the country, basically, right? I have enough relationships across the country to where the best team in Texas, I can have somebody in Texas speak highly of me. The best team in LA, California, the Bay Area, whatever, Philly, Carolina, whatever, Atlanta. I have people. I mean, I've done it. If you're watching what I'm doing, I've done it. It's happened. So it wouldn't hurt them to play in one of my events because I'm able to get that type. I'm able to do things like have summer league at Paul Charter and bring a Georgetown Day, a Georgetown Prep, a Bishop Ireton, a Landon, of those type of people who wouldn't. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about these people, but we all know they wouldn't be coming to Paul if not for the validation of Arize that it's okay. We had Gonzaga in our summer league, the JV. We had these people. You know what I mean? At the time we were at Wilson, people didn't know that Wilson had a new gym. People thought Wilson had an old gym, and a lot of people thought Wilson was in the heart of the hood. I don't know why. So people were like, "You're bringing me to Wilson? You're bringing us to Wilson? Is our cars going to be safe? Is everything Wilson?"
Who are these people that didn't think Wilson was in who thought Wilson was in a bad
That's
neighborhood? Are they from out?
that's my point. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is that, I mean, Paul is not in a bad neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? It's not like E.L. Haynes is not in a bad neighborhood. Like Coolidge is not in a bad neighborhood. Now there might be some kids neighboring places, but directly right there, you'll definitely catch a white family walking their dog at 1 a.m. in front of Coolidge, like literally directly in front of the school. So I mean, like to say that is like, but I mean, but my point is that to answer your question, I don't want to get too far from the point. I don't think I've done anything to where we couldn't come back to the table on some Dan Gilbert, LeBron type shit and be like, okay, I'm gonna fuck with you because the position it's a benefit to us, and we gonna make something happen. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that simple. Like there's things I've done for certain people that people wouldn't believe, because for some reason people believe that a lot of these coaches, people believe that they came out of the womb as the head coach of whatever school. They don't believe that they ever had to work and earn their way. Huh?
Mm-hmm. With no
exactly.
help,
and they didn't have to earn their way. Like I could tell you a million stories of like myself and like a Glenn Ferrillo when we were very close when he first got to Paul VI or was transitioning to Paul. Like we were at Hoop Magic. I mean, he was there every day. He was like you know, shaking hands, kissing babies. I mean, and you know, obviously like people have revisionist history, but like they could probably tell you like Angelo was a very different person year 1 at Wilson versus year 6. I mean, that's like an obvious one, right? Because people saw my affiliation with them. But with like, I can tell you about Ferrillo and those times. I mean, Mike Jones and Steve Turner, I was still in high school when they became head coaches, but so I don't count them. But like, I can tell you like a Ferrillo, like things like relationship we had, like a real relationship before all the stuff got involved. You know what I'm saying? So
the
extra.
Like
where it's like, I'm not even just using him, I'm just giving an example because we actually had a real relationship where like we were like really locked in, and like PVI played in a bunch of our events in the beginning. You know what I mean? But like
so politics kind of came into that and kind of switched that dynamic, that relationship.
I wouldn't call it politics. I would call it doing what you got to do to advance in the game. Like it's just part of it. You know what I mean? Like it's just.
You know what I mean? But some could say he was already successful when he left Roosevelt, right?
I don't know if PVI would be what they are today without the.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with all the success, it's still, like I said, people are brand washed. That's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? And people, they feel like that branding itself, like they feel like once you get a deal on any level, once you get a deal with that type of, they really, because they don't have the luxury to pull back the curtain and actually see what's the numbers and what's really going on. That's why, like, and I don't even want to speak on this person, so I won't say the name, but that's why when a certain individual becomes incarcerated for extracurricular activities when they've had a deal for over 20 years, people are shocked because people believe like, oh, you got a deal, you're not rich. Like people are shocked. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Because like they don't have the intel to know that like that's not what that is. It's not even close. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I think that when people look, they look more so not only at, you know, the branding, they also look at the resources, sometimes the company you keep, and then they kind of make an assumption that you are rich also. Right. If you're producing pros, if you know you have these resources available to you, you should possibly, you know, be okay financially. And when you're not, I think they're kind of like, well, what the hell, did you mismanage it? What happened?
But also that's also speaks to their lack of information and the wrong information. That's also a victim of marketing, because I'll say this. Have you ever seen a person on the high school level or college level, like outside of like Coach K, you know what I'm saying, who like, or Calipari, who like had an opportunity to get to the NBA and turned it down?
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're not going to go to like the director of ops at Rutgers and offer him the same position for the Brooklyn Nets and him turn that down. Like that's not even a real thing. That he'd be a fool. Not even for like financial reasons or nothing. If like it's like just the platform, the NBA platform. Like one of my closest friends, his name was Bakari Smith. He was at Montverde for 3 years. He's now RJ Barrett's manager, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't turn that down. I don't care if Montverde is the best school. You don't turn the opportunity down to be with the number 3 pick in all his endeavors. Just the fact that, and I'm not even gonna get into the money part or nothing. I'm just saying, like, even if they paid him less than what he was making, the opportunity for that platform is there. So my point is saying that is that, like, when you have a situation where a person has like pros and stuff like that, you would assume those people are in position to be involved in that pros day-to-day endeavors. I mean, we watched, and I'll speak on this because it's public, we watched Keith Williams do something unprecedented, which was to negotiate every deal for Markelle Fultz, right? Do you think
Right.
Keith Williams, like, had in the back of his mind, they're like, yo, I'm going to let Markelle go to the league and I'm just going to stay here, keep training kids? Like, no, you have the number 1 pick in the draft. That's a once in, because how often do people even make it, let alone the number 1 pick? That's a 1 in a million opportunity. That's worth stopping every endeavor you have going on and be fully invested in that person. That's Markelle Fultz. I mean, the jury's still out right now, but at the time of drafting, you're looking at a kid who potentially make like $600 million. You know what I mean? Like, so my point is saying as that, like, when I look at you and you're still coaching AAU and still like yelling at refs or getting technical fouls and the day-to-day grind of like AAU or high school basketball, right?
Right.
It lends to the fact that, like, maybe when you do have a pro out of your program, they don't value you on the level of like, yeah, come with me and leave all this other stuff alone. You know what I mean?
You're taking a shot. That's going to be seen. That's going to be seen as a shot.
I mean, I'll put it this way: Kevin Durant's dad, right? Kevin Durant's dad, like,
right.
At one point in time, he and I were very close, like very, very close.
Right.
I wouldn't call us friends, but I would say we were very close. And there was a point in time where we could sit down for a meal, we could talk on the phone. I've been like in people's houses with him, like, you know, and he said something very valuable to me too that might be taken as a shot. But he said, how come you don't see no AAU guys in the basketball Hall of Fame? Like, he said that. I didn't say that. He said that. Like, there's no AAU guys in the basketball Hall of Fame. So was that a shot, or was that speaking facts?
I would think, what would be the basis for,
like, him saying, like, him saying the value of AAU ain't what people think once you pull back the curtain, pull back the blinds. That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, I see the point that he was making.
It's a platform to help kids, but it's not something that's like valued on the level of like, we're gonna put you in the hall. He like, you know, and we know there's some like AAU lifers, right? Like Boo Williams, like Leo, BABC. These guys have 40, 50 years in the game. They've produced a gazillion pros. But
I think Boo will go in.
What would he already have been in? What is it waiting on?
Well, he's still active. So I mean
there's active
I think
he
goes in. I think he goes in. I can't speak to the other person you spoke on, but I think that Boo definitely goes in.
But I'm saying there's active coaches in the Hall of Fame right now. Like Calipari's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but I think Boo goes in, and he goes in. I think AAU is just a part of his journey, and I think, you know, he does have an organization that will be a part of it, but I don't think that is all of his legacy. So I think he definitely goes in, and AAU will be a part of it. He may be the first, but some of the other people, I could definitely see the point that KD's dad was trying to make, for sure. But, you know, I kind of also want to talk about, you know, you released the documentary Wicked Jump Shot. I think you had a national release. I know you had a viewing. I think it may have been out of town. That viewing was in New York.
One locally, and we did one. We did one locally, and we did one at the Players Tribune.
Oh, and is that where's the Players Tribune?
In New York? Yeah, I have a business arrangement with them. You know, we have a very good relationship due to the publicists I have, who have strong ties there, who also is connected to like Boo Williams, Allen Iverson, down the Hampton Roads area. But if you know, you know. But yeah. So like, yeah.
So I wanted to kind of talk about the Wicked Jump Shot documentary. What I know, you kind of like the merge. You kind of merge the aspect of the streets and also the athlete kind of in that format. But what gave you that idea, and what kind of made you kind of want to pursue to make a documentary in that particular realm of basketball?
I mean, I think it's on brand with like what I've always done, right? Like, I mean, if you look at, I mean, I don't know if people know, but like I've been doing stuff in the film space since I started. So, I mean, like I said, the relationship. I look at the basketball business differently, right? Like I don't identify. Like I love those kids. It's not like I don't like those kids, but I'm saying I don't directly identify. I identify more with like an Earl Timberlake than I would with like a Rodney Rice, right? Like, no disrespect to Rodney Rice, I'm saying, but he's blessed to have a father who's successful. And that's what you want. You want your kids to be that, right? Like, I'll probably identify more with LeBron than Bronny, Like,
right. I see your point.
What I'm saying? They're by no means like should be looked at upon anything like, but they're lucky enough to have parents who are successful and put them in certain positions. But on some levels, it kind of makes them less identifiable, right? With a person like myself or like kids that I encounter that, come from nothing. Like, you kind of want to root for that more. Like if Kevin Durant's speech was like, the real MVP was validated behind what? Like it wasn't validated from her being rich from day one or Kevin Durant growing up rich. You know what I mean? Like it made you feel that because of this what he came from. Like, I don't know if like you feel that same way about Steph Curry's speech the next 2 years. Like you respect what he's done, but with the platform he was given, the life he's lived, it's not exactly gonna touch it's not that it don't have that human element. So my point is saying is that like.
But wait. So you're saying the human element is the grind?
The human element is the circumstances and coming up from those circumstances.
Right. So the grind of coming from those circumstances.
Because you got to grind regardless. Like Kobe is like,
right.
He was a rich kid too, but you respect like what he became. But it just like felt on a different level when you come from nothing. Like LeBron don't even know his father. You know what I'm saying? Like, let alone him being like a rich and famous basketball player. You know what I mean?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you weren't negating.
Nah. Of course you still got to hoop because Michael Jordan kids never were Hall of Fame level or MVP level. So
right,
and that goes back to what I was saying about the coaches who I had to shake their hand because they won. Because even if they assisted by certain people, or even if you still may not win. You know what I mean? So,
right.
But what I was saying is that like, like I identify more with I was just with Earl's dad last night at a Super Bowl party, whatever, but I identify more with a kid like that because I know where he come from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know.
So how do you kind of tie that back to the Wicked Jump Shot documentary?
Like I'm gonna use Earl Timberlake as an example because if he ends up making it and being everything that I believe he can be, a kid like that needs to see that documentary. A kid like the Mitchell twins, Jay Heath, Dominguez Stevens, those type of kids need to see that documentary. You know what I mean? They need to see from people who are where they want to be, who come from where they come from, and talk about what they felt like as they were trying to come up, the energy around them as they were coming up, and they separate themselves as outstanding talents at a young age, and the energy around them, and then transitioning to actually making it and the energy around them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So my next question is, you released a documentary, you've had a nationwide release. Like, what type of feedback have you received from for the documentary, and what are your next steps with the documentary? Like, what are you going to do with it next?
I mean, the feedback, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I mean, for sure, like there's been like, different things because like, again, it's all about what's identifiable, right? So some people might take it as like a bunch of rich people whining about rich people problems. Like, oh, people are asking you for money. Oh, so bad. Like, like some people won't, because remember, the people who are speaking, they represent like the 1%. So it's not something where the masses would feel that, right? Because the masses will never experience what it's like to become that person. right? But for that, those hopefuls, and for those who actually made it, it becomes, like, if I'm making any sense, like it's not.
No, I understand what you're saying. It became more so like a roadmap.
Exactly. It becomes more so like
Yeah.
a thesis like paper. It's kind of like of
Mm-hmm.
like how what this thing is gonna be like, and then it gives so you understand like movies like Above the Rim, He Got Game, a lot more, right? Like if you're not that
Right.
type of kid, you wouldn't even get that movie. You wouldn't even understand that. Like what do you mean your dad is coming home from jail, or what do you mean like these schools are doing what? Because they never had that. So imagine Jesus Shuttlesworth with social media. That's what it's like to be an Earl Timberlake today. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Right. So I know you received some critical acclaim, and I mean when I mean that I mean positive
of
critical
course,
acclaim.
critical acclaim.
And that's what I meant more so like, not the feedback necessarily from the audience itself, but more so from the critics who reviewed the film and who kind of checked it out. And like, can you speak to that? And like, what are your next steps for, like, do you have maybe a 2-year plan of, maybe circulating it? How are you going to do so? Like, what are you going to do next?
I mean, the beautiful thing about like entrepreneurship in the 2010s and 2020s and beyond is that
Mm-hmm.
stuff like never before has lived forever, right? So like because like of my platform and my like I have my own YouTube channel, I have my own all my own. Like I would never like sell it to like a Netflix or all that stuff will just be to appease my ego and to like underscore like my entrepreneurial spirit, right? Meaning like because like you said in a movie like the Aaron Hernandez documentary, it goes to Netflix, everybody talks about it for a week, they're on to the next thing, right? And then
Right.
imagine if Aaron Hernandez was in a theater release. It's out for 2 weeks. You talk about it, it gets forgotten about until it comes out on whatever platform next. But my point is saying that it doesn't live forever, and it doesn't lend itself to be introduced to generations and generations to come. Like we just celebrated the 5-year anniversary of the inaugural season of a web series I have called Attention Kills, which was like basically like
Right.
say it again.
I saw you post
Yeah,
that.
so and as you can see, like from the people who are talking about it online, it strikes a certain a thing with them, where like they go back watch the whole thing. It's 4 seasons long, and new people who've never seen it, a new generation of kids who are in high school now who weren't in high school 5 years ago are watching it, learning something new from it, stuff like that. So every time I release any type of project, it's automatically going to come up in the related videos, right? So people are going to go and watch that. It lends itself to be there for forever. So like 20 years from now, if I release something, you can go back and it's almost like if Spike Lee had all his movies on his YouTube channel. Like you can go back and watch. She Gotta Have It every time he puts out something new. Like he puts out Black Klansman, and then you'd be like, damn, I wonder what else Spike Lee's put out. Because believe it or not, there are people who actually do not know that he did a lot of these movies. You know what I mean?
Right. But so my question to you is, as a content creator and as your platform, your brand continues to grow, are you saying that you only just want to release your projects so that they are then just stored on YouTube? I don't think that's what you're saying, right? Am I missing
I'm
something?
saying that that's where they'll eventually live. Even if I do something where like it goes to a Netflix or whatever, I still want to reserve the rights because I understand these things will live longer than me. And I wouldn't want it to be like where it becomes a victim of capitalism, right? Or becomes a casualty of capitalism, where like it comes on Netflix, if it doesn't stream the right type of way or doesn't meet, like I had like a conversation with like, and I'm gonna go on for a sidebar for a second. I had a conversation with like this idiot from Monumental Sports who was talking about your events don't do the same type of numbers that all the other events do. Well, those numbers are misleading because majority of the kids who will come to the Uptown Hoop Fest, they probably can't afford your bullshit little $9.99 to watch like shit on Monumental Sports Network. But the opportunity for the kids who can, you know what I'm saying, should that be underscored because it doesn't meet the like numbers of like upper class, upper middle class America from Bowie, Upper Marlboro who can afford to pay the streaming number? Should those kids be forgotten about because only a handful of them can afford it? You know what I mean? And they may not afford it to come to the Hoop Fest. That's like me seeing like a bunch of kids come to the door at the Hoop Fest and then being like, oh, I don't have $10, and me being like, oh, well, get the fuck on. You know what I'm saying? Like that's in essence what's being
right,
said. So like,
but you're mixing morality with, you're mixing morals with business.
that's my point. So to avoid that, I'm gonna always make sure I can protect my investment and not be a casualty of the numbers with all my projects, right? Because somebody may not be able to watch it on a Netflix, or somebody might not be able to watch it in theaters, or it may not do the numbers, or it may not pass the whatever like testings they have where they show it to like a group of like some Caucasian people, some Hispanic people, some Asian, you know, they do these type of things with movies and stuff before they decide to put them in theaters or, you know, film festivals and stuff like that. It may not speak to that type of person, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a place in the world, you know?
Right. So let me just ask you this. So you make a new documentary, or you make another
content piece
movie. Say, a content piece. Let's say you make another content piece. Netflix comes to you, wants to cut the check. Are you saying no?
I mean, it would have to be on my terms, of course.
Okay, I got you.
It would have to be on my terms.
I got you.
Like for example, right now, I'm in conversations. I actually have a meeting today with an entity I won't say because I'm sure, you know, somebody will go ahead and try to like get in the way of that. But I have a conversation today with a person who wants to be consult for their company on the marketing side. It's a big company, consult on the marketing side, right? They just want to make their brand more visible. You understand what I'm saying? And I said it has to be done to a certain way.
To a certain demographic or period.
All the above, but I'm saying like,
okay.
But they it has to be done a certain way because in this business, big fish eat little fish, big bank take little bank. And again, like I said, that's not even a monetary thing, but a person might see people might see their banners in my events and think it's their event now because people don't actually read. It's almost like when I go to an event, like I can go to somebody's event and they'll be like, "Hey, Arize, do you have?" And start asking me questions like it's my event. I'm like, I'm just here watching. I'm literally sitting in the crowd watching. Why are you asking me about? Like, if I walk in an AAU tournament, somebody will ask me, "What time do we play?" And I'd be like, "This is not my event. How do you even think that this is my event?" You know what I'm saying? Like I could be at the MIT, like right. Everyone knows the MIT is the MIT, but somebody will walk up to me and say, like, "Is this your tournament? Are you running this tournament?" Because they just see like, "Oh, what's up, Arize? Oh yeah, this your joint too? Oh man, you got something every week." I'm like, how do you not know this is the MIT? It's been going on since I was in elementary school.
I think those are compliments. So I think that speaks more so to, you know, the brand that you've established for yourself.
But on the flip side of that, if you put up a bunch of, I'm just giving you an example of random, I'm just giving like Sports Authority banners in the gym. They're like, damn, Sports Authority running events now? Like the people won't know, like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, Arize, are you running this with Sports Authority? Like it's like I said, marketing is how good you are at tricking people. So it's like that's how I go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. So I kind of wanted to go back. You I know you've had some business dealings with Monumental Sports, and one of the things we agreed to talk on was the Monumental Sports package that they're selling, where they kind of highlight Jeremy Roach's PVI games. Remember we discussed that previously offline?
I mean, they did the same thing with IMG at my event. They're like, we have IMG playing. Like, no, it's the Hoop Fest, but IMG is playing in it. I mean, but yeah, I understand what your point. But go ahead.
Right. So what I was saying is that the use of his name specifically, do you agree with that as far as them being able to sell the sports pack?
I mean, I agree with it as long as the power is like, are you asking me like from a business perspective or from like a morality perspective?
From a business perspective, do you think that it's okay for them to do that to someone who is not able to benefit from that?
From a business perspective, America is set up to where you can do what you want until somebody tells you otherwise, or until their rules and credences put in place to say otherwise. That's literally what America was built on. Like America said for a long time, you can have a person literally not be allowed to sit in this part of a restaurant until somebody put in something that says otherwise. So this country was built on that. So I mean, like,
so I get what you're saying. The country is built off
the business side. That's not the morality side.
Right. But the morality side of it, are you saying that they shouldn't be allowed to do that?
I'm saying that of course they shouldn't be allowed to do that, which is why I always wondered why. I told Steve Stout this. I went to a viewing of student athlete down at the I forgot where we were at, but I took Marcellus with me from Legit Stats. He came with me, as well as my man Charles Tucker, who's Jabari Parker's best friend. That's back when Jabari was in DC playing for the Wizards, him and Bobby Portis, who are good friends of mine. But Cha was living with Jabari Parker. That's neither here nor there. But the three of us went down to see it. And I told Steve Stout and Maverick Carter that myself. Like, why do y'all just stop with college athletes getting paid when everyone's making money off high school kids as well? Like, maybe just as not just as much, but a nice amount. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a victim of it. You could say that I make money off of, like, you know, like high school kids and stuff like that too. Like, so.
Right, which was my next question, because if you're saying morally it's wrong, right, for the Uptown Hoop Fest that you just had, isn't that a contradiction? Because you kind of sold the game as a homecoming game for Woody and for Darius, specifically using their names and their team names as well. So in that aspect, what makes you different than Monumental Sports as far as your moral values in that aspect?
Well, the thing that makes me different is two things.
You have a relationship with them? Are you going to have? Okay.
So not only is it the relationship, right? And not only are these like kids who like grew up like playing in my events and like dreaming like of like as middle school kids. Like, you can go back to videos of the Hoop Fest in 2014, 2013, and them in the crowd. Like, one day I could have a chance to play. Like, you talk to a kid like Jay Heath, he's not gonna tell you he grew up going to Matthew versus Gonzaga. That's not, even though he went to O'Connell, he didn't grow up going to that type of stuff. He grew up coming to see like the Hoop Fest and stuff like that. So, like, not only is it that like legacy relationship, right, with that type of thing, but it's also there's certain things that have, it's almost kind of like there's certain things that, without going into detail, that with their families and their people that go beyond the realm of the basketball business, that
right,
we're good, we're 100. You know what I mean? Like, put it that way. Like, this.
So you're saying the relationship piece behind the scenes makes it okay in this particular instance, but for Monumental, because they may or may not have a relationship with that family, that player, that it's not okay.
No, I'm saying that it's all okay from a business level. It's all okay from a morality standpoint, right? From a morality standpoint, they're just a brand. They're just like a thing that exists that, like, I mean, you know Ted Leonsis and Zach Leonsis, but like, you don't really know like Monumental. Like, when they walk in the gym, you don't even know who's pushing those buttons, right? But like Arize is like a different thing, because you know Arize, you can like, it's so that's but it's like
because you're on the ground,
yeah, exactly,
and you're creating these relationships,
right? So on like I said, on so it's like the morality thing comes in, because it's like these are kids that like Allende last year, we did the same thing. It's like it's mutually beneficial, right? Because they have a legacy attachment to the event. Number one. Number two, it's an opportunity for their parents to see them and share that moment and send them off the right way, right? So that's a life type of thing that they're gonna look back on years and years to come. I remember, like, when my man Charles Tucker, that's why I brought him up, Charles Tucker, who Jabari Parker's best friend. Me and him reconnected in Vegas at NBA Summer League 3 years ago, because he walked up to me and told me that he had transferred to Montrose his senior year and played in my event against Theodore Roosevelt when Theodore Roosevelt beat Montrose. And he said that he won MVP, and there's a big frame picture of the MVP picture with me and him in it, in his living room, in his house. Like, I'm talking about like life size, like almost like it's like 5 foot something feet tall, like that big. You know what I mean? So the legacy relationship, it speaks to a whole different type of thing than just like capitalism. You know what I mean? It's like if if I didn't know Darius personally, if he was just another kid from the DCIAA, or Woody, I didn't know them like as middle school kids or elementary school kids, to like really watch them grow. It's almost like June, Darren Buchanan. It's the same thing. If I actually am really good friends with his older brother, not Debo, but his older brother, who's my age, who went to Wilson. Like I actually watched him grow up, watched his mom yell at me when he was in 4th grade, 5th grade, you know what I'm saying, about the referees cheating and blah, blah, blah. So the legacy relationship is something completely different where like they actually want to play in the event. Like a lot of those kids from Wilson were actually hurt DMing me, coming to the events. Like, damn, bro, you don't have us in none of your events this year? Like, that's crazy. Like, it's a legacy relationship where the business is almost secondary at this point. You know what I mean?
Right, but my only question to that is, you didn't believe you could sell that game, that Mount Zion IMG game, without the use of those players, regardless of the relationship. Just a blank
of course,
question.
Because the Hoop Fest at this point is the Hoop Fest. Like I said, like the
right.
2 most winningest teams in Uptown, Wilson and Rose, were not in the event. It's still sold out. So I'm saying like the Hoop Fest is the Hoop Fest. Like those kids would come anyways. So I'm saying, but that's my point of like, it wasn't done to sell the game. It was done because that flyer is going to be blown up and framed and put in archived. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a little bit. It's a deeper connection.
With Cha-Cha Tucker, it's like the legacy relationship of like, this was a backdrop to my life. Like, you know how many times I see a parent and they'd be like, yo, seeing you has brought back all these feelings. I remember my kid growing up in your events. Like, I miss it so much. You know what I mean? Like, who I represent in their lives is Monumental. They'll never look at Monumental Sports and say, oh my God, Monumental, and get these feelings. It's Arize. I remember Arize took a picture of my son. Arize took my son in the corner after he played fall league and got a technical foul. Arize, like, it's a different type of thing.
I get it. I get your point. Let me say this. I get your point. And for you to say that you could definitely sell it without using the kids, but the reason you did use the kids is because it's a deeper connection to the event coordinator and planner. And I get
like
that.
Marcus Dockery was sick that we couldn't get Brewster Academy in the event. Like, because these kids grew up. Mm-hmm. These kids they grew up. They didn't have the luxury of like, which like Wilson did it last year for the first time in forever, and it probably would never happen for a long time. But going to like a City of Palms or going to a Naismith Hall of Fame, like that's not a regular. So like the Hoop Fest in their lives represent that. So like what you saw Jeremy and Trevor and them do against Sierra Canyon, that's just another game on the books, but it's a big deal. But it's just because they've traveled the country 100 times over playing these type of games. But this is what
I see. No, I was saying I see your point. I definitely understand. For the kid, it means that platform means something to the kid.
And they'll actually call and say, "Why aren't I on the flyer?" You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I got you, because they have access to you. So, but I think, me personally, as far as the Monumental Sports thing, like I don't agree with the use of his name. I don't have a problem if you want to, say that PVI is playing and PVI is playing this team, PVI is playing that team. But when you use his name specifically and there's money attached to it and he and his family can't benefit from it, to me, that's the issue. I don't think that should be done. So I think they personally should change it. I know the season is almost over, but going forward, I don't think they should use any local prospect's name to sell packages, because they have subscriptions that start at $6.99, go all the way up to $49.99. And it may not look like it because it's on the inside of the package itself. But when those Duke followers or those people from whatever university of the player that may have committed gets a hold of that, they'll say, oh, I could watch this particular player before he gets here. And those fan bases are connected enough to want to buy those subscription packages, right?
Right. Yeah,
hello?
With you.
You agree? You do agree with that? Or UNC or Duke?
I agree, for sure.
Right. So I just don't think in that particular instance his name should be used. But, that's just my personal opinion. I'm not sure if his family knows. I know you have contact with his family and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into that, but that's just my personal opinion. But what's next for you? Let's kind of just shift a little bit. What's next for you? You've done Wicked Jump Shot. You've have had a national release. You've got your YouTube channel. You have your event. What's next for you? Like, what are you planning to do to kind of take your brand to the next level in the next 5 years?
The last 10 years, you know what I'm saying, we've always had the same 6 verticals in business, which are events, content, product, speaking, community, technology, and merchandising. Well, product, like I said, product. So those things have never wavered. So, I mean, you can catch me at a bunch of different events, setting up shop, selling our merch. I don't know how much you in the streets, but you can't go to too many gyms without seeing a kid with some more than basketball socks, shorts, t-shirt, arm sleeve, headband, compression shorts. I mean, it's hoodie, sweatshirt. I mean, that's like a big part of our business. You know what I mean? Spring jacket. Whatever.
Yeah, I've seen the merch. I've definitely seen the merch table, and I've seen the merch on the kids. I've seen it.
So I mean, that's a big part of our business. I mean, I go to different colleges, high schools, etc., nationally speaking to kids about branding, marketing, entrepreneurship, the urban American experience, and coming up from that, stuff like that. Like I said, I've like the people have transitioned me from just a Rize, like a regular person, to like this like spokesperson or this like example of what you can be if you stay down till you come up. So we have that. We do a lot of different things in the community. Of course, people know about that, from career fairs to college tours to outdoor activities, different neighborhood activities, etc. So I mean, those just continue to do those things and doing them at a high level is what I've been doing, and that's why I get so passionate when I feel like people tell me, and not you because you've explained that, but that's why it needed further elaborating when people feel like you should shut the fuck up about it until you're dead, and we'll determine how much we talk about it at that point. You know what I'm saying? I just don't agree with that. So, and when you say it enough and the person doesn't respond, then it becomes law, because that's the world we live in. So
right.
It's my job to oversell it and remind you that, well, Kobe does this, Jordan does this, and y'all would never say that to them, or all the different people who do these type of things, and y'all wouldn't say it to them. So shut the fuck up, basically. So that's where that stems from. You know what I'm saying? Because I walk the streets. Like I said, like I don't be at no Jaspers, and I don't be out no Upper Marlboro and all that. I don't do that.
What do y'all have against Jasper?
It's a running joke.
This comes up a lot. I hear it all. I see it all the time. What is it about Jasper that y'all?
My man Aaron, we started a running joke about how people just don't understand the plight. See, people, for some reason, I remember I had a conversation with like a prominent AAU coach, and he was like saying like, "Yo, Rize, like I like how you really built the business out of like the kids that don't matter." And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean? Because in their mind, if you're not going to a high level Division I school, like if you come out of a DCIAA school and go to Clarion University, that's not good enough. That's a waste for them. That's what they believe.
Do they entertain those kids?
You know the answer to that. So what I'm saying, so like, and they're in the mind of a lot of these guys. Maurice Johnson doesn't matter, and I'm not saying Maurice Johnson's going to Clarion. I'm saying they don't even have it in the post of him being the area's leading scorer. They don't even have that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't. It doesn't matter. It does not matter, because they're not even invested in them type of kids. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, so you telling me that kid doesn't deserve to have his moment to shine? That kid doesn't. Isn't that why we love March Madness? Is the Loyola Chicago's and those type. But in the world of like the highest level of AAU, those kids don't matter, right? Like, but at the same time, how come if you go to a Chavez versus Friendship Tech parade, there's 1,500 people there?
Yeah, right. Because they matter. They do matter.
Like, we're talking about, we're literally taking out like what I grew up on, the human part of a basketball game of like, yo, I'm going to see my men in them play. There might be some pretty girls there. It's my homie who stayed down. He's trying to go to school from basketball. I'm going to go support him. He's a neighborhood hero. That is like eliminated from the basketball business, the basketball business. That's eliminated at this point because he's not a high major kid. He's not a mid-major kid. And even at some level, a mid-major kid, look at Ishmael Leggett. Look what happened to him last summer. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you consider him mid-major prior to?
He's going to Rhode Island. My point is that like he was his. I'll let everybody who knows about the situation from last summer. I'll let them. I won't even speak on too much about that. But
this past summer, the summer prior to
summer, when he ended up with Durant, he had played somewhere else for a long time. So.
No, that's my point. But even with him playing somewhere else for a long time, did you consider him a mid-major prospect, or did you just think that, what he did with Durant really showed everything that he was capable of doing, and he was always a high major to begin with?
I think he's going to Rhode Island, so he's. But I think he could have played higher. But
yeah, right. I know your point. Yeah,
my
go
point
ahead.
is that, like, I watched him play in one of my events. Well, he's been playing in my stuff since he was a kid, but he played in one of my events at St. John's last year, and he had offers at that point. You know what I'm saying? But my point is saying that is that, like, this business is built on providing a platform for whoever, but for kids to showcase their talents and to try to be evaluated at the highest level possible, right? But at what point do you say, like, this guy has been with me for forever and he's good enough to play, but he's not a star. But we're going to stay down with him because he's, you know what I mean? Like, that's all. I don't want to speak too much on the situation, but.
Nah, yeah, I definitely understand that. I see the point you're trying to make, but it worked. It definitely worked out for him in the end. I think that's what's most important.
But what if it didn't?
Can't say what if it didn't, because it did.
What if it didn't? Because more cases than
I don't think with that we very rarely, with kids at that level, regardless of where he played this summer or the summer before, we very rarely see where it does not work out for them. We very rarely see very few slips in the crack now at all. We do see maybe a few. I mean, not as much as we did before, definitely not, but very, very, very few kids now, especially where he was playing prior to and where he's playing afterwards, fall through the cracks.
I know that part.
It just works out.
I'm just asking. I'm just talking about, like I said, Ishmael's a bad example. I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. You're speaking towards the kind of growing up within the program, the org, whatever, and then
the mentality of why do certain kids not matter just because they're not recruited to a certain level, or matter less when or there's this or I can show.
Yeah, we could kind of, I don't know, we can kind of look if we broke down that roster.
No, forget that.
From where he came.
Roster. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about my events, right? I can show my events, right? Here's the Uptown Hoop Fest 2021. Here's the lineup, right? And a kid will look at it and say, there's no ranked players, and I'm not coming to that shit. And then later on find out there was 3,000 people that came. Why? If those kids don't matter.
But I think you're kind of walking the line of ranked kids competition and then public appreciation for the event.
No,
that's two different things.
I'm walking the line of the mentality that's instilled in the generations and in the business as a whole.
Well, we know that kind of that ranking and all that stuff gives them a different out.
I'm circling back to the whole thing about, like, what I said about the all pats on the back 2020. Because if we leave it to the population at large, they're already brainwashed and misinformed. That's why I said, if Maurice Johnson wants to say, yo, I'm leading the area in scoring, don't come out and say, but you play at Chavez. No, shut the fuck up and let him shine. Like, you don't come out and say you went to WCAC. No, shut the fuck up. You understand what I'm saying?
Who's saying that? People actually say that, then?
And if they're not saying it to him, that goes back to our other point. They're saying it at Jasper's.
Here we go, Jasper.
I'm just bringing it back. You asked me what's the affinity for Jasper's.
But see, here's my thing about that. So yeah, let's say people do say that to him, and he does it at Chavez. He scored 1,000 points. He's lead the area in scoring. But at some point, though, he does play AAU against high-level players. His production is probably not going to taper off that much. That conversation is irrelevant then. Because to most now, high school is not the proving ground. It's more so what you do in AAU, what you do.
I disagree with you unless Mo Johnson goes to a high major or mid major. Because otherwise,
so that's what you're basing.
I'm saying like the people that have these that would say that about being at Chavez, like those type of dejectors would say, yeah, you play high level AAU ball, but at the end of the day, you're still going to whatever, you know what I mean? Unless you end up going high major.
Yeah, if just, for him, he shouldn't even entertain conversations like that. Just keep
at the end of the day, that's like saying, like, when the Post reported who the leading scorers are and he chimed in, he shouldn't even do that if he knows what's real. But
that's different. They don't have a presence. That's completely different. Like what the Post did to them is just trifling. They don't even have a presence. But this is a trusted
media, and that's why I said
I get that.
But hear me out. If something gets that type of stamp and then they run with something, it's taken as law, but they're 1,000% wrong. So what if somebody says you being overly critical of the Post is similar to anything else? Like you're going against this machine or whatever this thing is, this big entity, this bigger fish, but you're actually correct. But because your platform is not bigger, you may not get the respect of actually being correct about what you say, right? It's the same thing. It's no different. It's the same thing. That's what I'm saying. So when these people, Upper Marlboro, it's not disrespect to Upper Marlboro.
I see your point with
Post, not necessarily what's on the ground level. It's similar to the Washington Post inability to cover what needs to be covered in the right way. It's similar to these dudes who are far out in the suburbs with no public transportation, no trains, no buses, not understanding what goes on. The reason why McKinley Tech gets out at half an hour early and Dunbar gets out a half an hour late. They have no clue why. Because they're out there.
Yeah.
They won't know. Why would they know? They would have to wait for the Post to report it, or they see it on social media. But what if the Post doesn't report it? And that's why the media is so dangerous, and you have to speak out on it.
I mean, I can see your point. What I was speaking to was him, as far as him entertaining certain conversations. Even as a teenager, I think that he should keep doing what he's doing because it's working for him. He's successful where he is, and everything else will work out.
Success for Maurice Johnson is not him leading the area in scoring.
No, I'm not saying that. I never said that. I said he's successful where he's.
We don't know if he's successful yet. That's to be determined.
He's, as far as being a basketball player,
his goal is to go to school for free. That would be success.
Right, I feel you. But are you saying that's not a possibility for him?
Of course it is. But I'm saying,
right. That's what I'm saying. So he's on the right path. That's what I mean by that.
He's being successful.
Yeah, he's being successful in what he's doing. He's on the right path. I should have followed up with that.
Like he has to actually, because like we had, and this is my man. I don't even want to speak on it, but like we can just say Keon Boyd. Like at a certain point, he was on the right path. So,
Yeah, this is true. But remember we talked about that. Very few kids now slip kind of between the cracks, and unfortunately that's the situation. But to me, it's still not too late for him. So I saw something the other day. I think they said he's like 19 years old.
Yeah, he'll be 20. He'll be 20 in June.
Right, that makes him almost the same age as some players in high school in the 12th grade right now. Yeah, right. So, but my last question for you, because I know you got to go. So, you built this platform. You built a successful platform. Built a successful brand within the DC area. And a lot of times you hear people say, it's tough doing it here because it's not necessarily a New York, it's not necessarily a California or a media haven like a Chicago. Is that something that you have ever considered possibly moving the brand and relocating, or are you just DC area and this is it for you and you're going to continue to grow and build here throughout?
Well, I never looked at it like that because I never considered myself a local brand. I mean, I came into the business. No, I know what I mean. Local, I'm about to answer. I came into the game. That's why I always say, like, I always put, like, you can search my Twitter. Like, I can't wait for people to bring up my old tweets. But I tweeted like, I never got into the game to be the hometown hero. You know what I mean? Because I think a kid from any subservient area can relate to what and they do. From Baltimore, I can show you interactions with Justin Lewis, Raheem Ali, all them kids at Poly from when they were young. And I go speak at Will Barton's camp every summer and give away a bunch of T-shirts and shit like that back then. You know what I'm saying? I seen Will Barton's mom. She took a picture with me. Thank you for everything you've done for my son. Quinn Cook, all these different guys. So I'm saying, like, it don't matter where you come from. It don't matter where you're from. You can relate. The real can relate. It don't matter where it's at. So my point is saying that is, like, with the internet, with YouTube, with all that social media, it's like I said, I came into the game. I've been hustling with, from Hoop Mixtape to Ball is Life to all these guys. I've been hustling with them. You can go back to 2010 when I first started, and they were covering my events. I was flying those dudes in to cover my events. They weren't further along enough. This is like pre-Akil Carr. They weren't far along enough. We were all still very young, but I was flying them in, putting them up in hotel rooms to cover my events. This stuff is archived. This stuff is, if you go back to watch the documentary, the Run This Town with Wilson, it talks about that. Like, we have all that. Like I said, I know a lot of people will pretend like that stuff never happened. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people will pretend like this footage doesn't exist of, like, Wilson versus DeMatha at the 2014 Uptown Hoop Fest. They'll pretend, but the footage is here. And we've been locked in with these guys and giving the world an inside look at what I got going on from back then, right? I know people will pretend like the National High School Hoops Festival that's at DeMatha every year, that's run by Separation Sports Management, like it wasn't me, Kingston Price, Kenny Johnson, and Keith Stevens on 8 a.m. phone calls every day for months straight, coordinated matchups, coordinating promotion schedules, coordinating execution of these events back then from year one when I was like 21 years old, and they were just trying to be great, right? And everyone, this before Kenny Johnson is who we know today, before Indiana and all that, before anybody won Peach Jam and stuff. Like, they pretend that stuff didn't happen, but this stuff has happened, right? So which is furthermore why, when people don't understand why I be feeling the way I be feeling about people like this, who you've had a vested interest in their success, now have a vested interest in you not being successful. I'm not saying them specifically, but there's a lot of people like this who I've helped out.
But you are kind of saying that indirectly.
I mean, I'm about to clear that up. There's a lot of people.
Okay.
You can't even really name like a handful of prominent people in the area who I have not broken bread with. You can't name those people. Like, literally, you can name them. Like, just, you start naming, and you can ask me if we've broken bread. I won't tell you specifically how it's happened. You know what I'm saying? So these things are a real thing. You know what I'm saying? These things are a real thing.
So it's being someone who kind of started off, that process with the National Hoop Fest. Is that something that you walked away from, or you no longer wanted to be a part of, so you could, kind of work on your own thing? Or how did that kind of?
It's part of the game. You know what I'm saying? It's like you take advantage of the platform. Like, I always looked up to Keith Stevens when I was young, because he was a hustler. He was trying to get it. Like, I respected that. Like, he was trying to get it. Like, he too was under the shadows. He was under assault for a long time. He was at Newport. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to do his own thing. What man wouldn't respect that? Which is why I would hope there would be more respect for me doing the same thing, which I think is coming to be that, right? But sometimes it takes for people to look at shit and be like, damn, I was the same person, and now watching him do it, I should respect that more the way people respected when I did it. But that's neither here nor there. But I'm saying, I respected it. I looked up to that, damn, he really coming up from nothing, and he really hustling and trying to really work his way out. I've fought with them before. Now I've been pepper sprayed. Through my loyalty to Keith Stevens in Vegas. Again, this stuff is archival footage. It's out there. Brandon Jennings and them, all them, Belmont Shores, they was rumbling at the Reebok shit in Vegas. I was out there, front lining. You know what I'm saying? Pepper spray. You can ask them, Super Dave, Kenny Johnson, Kingston, ask them. I want you can bring Keith on and ask them. This is all facts. I don't speak nothing but fact. I front line for them because I believe in his dream. And at the same time, I believe in my own even that much more. So when I got to the point where I was ready to graduate and do my own, there was a point in time where, to a majority of basketball, I was known as the triple threat dude. Like, oh yeah, Arize, who's that? The
Right.
triple threat dude? Like, because I was championing and frontlining for him that much. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying.
I was called that. So my question to you is like, indirect or indirect? If you even think there's any type of friction, which there's not, but if you even think there's any type of friction, shouldn't that be indicative of something about how the game goes and how fucked up this shit be? That a kid like that, as a kid, frontlining for another man to be great. I ain't get no money from that. Frontlining for a man to be great. Just took advantage of the platform while he was there. That's all I ever did. Built my own relationships to where I can go do my own thing. Why is it now that there's things happening behind the scenes for a kid who you have kids my age who's frontline things for you? That's all I'm trying to say.
And once again,
that's the question.
That just takes me back to the question I had before. Are these conversations that you're having with these individuals?
I mean, like I said, I won't go any specific than that because we're at a good place. I fuck with him. I fuck with all his men that be with him, all that. I fuck with all of them. I tell you stories about me, G-Day, Sodapo. You know who that is? BBC, Team BBC. Me, him, Ray Brewer, going down to Boo Williams back in the day, 2009, some shit like that. Staying at my sister's crib. They was going to Hampton University. People on the couch and the floor. Road trips, us three. Going down there. I can tell you stories about me driving Jerry and Grant, Victor Oladipo, Lasan Chroma, all them, down to Bob Gibbons, Keith Stevens. Hey, can you rent a car? I'll put y'all up in the hotel. We need more drivers. Me sleeping, us four in one room. Victor Oladipo, all them. It's fact. Ask. When you bring them dudes on these podcasts, ask. These are all facts. Victor Oladipo didn't come out the womb and go straight to the NBA. He had to live 18, 19, 20 years of life before that. This is all fact.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying when people do stuff, I'm not acting like I didn't benefit. Of course I benefited. But I would think that you would be like, damn, I like what you've done with yourself. I'm going to do everything I can to help push you forward for everything you've done for me. That's it. And if the fact that there's even any type of question or any type of conversation, otherwise, there should be a red flag. And that's all I will speak on that because, like I said, I fuck with him. We don't have no beef or nothing like that. He don't owe me nothing. But I'm saying that's just what that is. So, like, when you ask me a question about Jeremy Roach, right, and is it not supported by the AAU team, that should raise a red flag because of how I frontline a lot of things for that man specifically and his dream because I looked up to him. Like, this nigga's really trying to come up. I respect it. I remember he used to show me his website. Like, look at this shit, bro. Look what I did. Look, I did this on my own. Look, I'm learning how to do websites on these niggas. Like, yeah, I'm about to come up. I'm not waiting for nobody to do nothing for me. I'm like, damn. And mind you, he wasn't even, like, I'm not trying to disrespect him, but he wasn't even young like that back then because he's already old now. So he wasn't even young like that back then 10 years ago. He was still 40-something, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, or late 30, whatever, I don't know. But so I'm saying, like, but I respected it. Like, damn, this young nigga trying to really, like, he had a teenage son, so he can only be but so young, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I respected that. Like, nigga really coming from the mud, like, really grinding. Like, damn, this nigga really grinding, really ready to go all the way. Like, really ready for every W, everything matter, you know what I'm saying? Like, how you not respect that?
Well,
you know
I don't.
what I'm saying?
Well, I don't want to end on that note or whatever.
I'm not tripping off that shit. I'm just saying, like, my point is like, I gotta shake that man's hand. Like, no matter what, you won, nigga. That shit, winning that PGM, all that shit, nigga. That shit bring a tear to my eyes because I know what that shit took. I know the sleepless nights. I know the losses all along the way. I know all that. I was in the mud. I was locked in the mud on the ground level with this guy. So I respect that. You gotta respect that. Any nigga in this town who don't respect that man as a legend is a hater. That's the reality. But that doesn't mean he can't be guilty of doing sucker shit or industry shit. But that man is a legend. You gotta respect it.
You took another shot, though. You called him a legend in one sentence, and then
that doesn't mean he's above criticism. What you mean? That he's a human being.
Yeah, but you can't. Well, normally people don't.
Man. But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day,
normally don't,
like I said,
but normally people don't give a compliment and then follow it up with something. But I got you. But what I want to say to you, is you kind of, worked your way through the ranks up under him, I would say. So who are you kind of like mentoring?
Up under me. It wasn't under him because I did business with him. I did business with Curtis
you
Malone. I did business with Bub Carrington, Stu Vetter. Everybody used to call me Stu Vetter too. Oh, Stu Vetter, that's your man. Stu Vetter, that's your man. Yeah, because at the time when all the black coaches in position could have showed love, they told me I ain't get my 10,000 hours yet. I ain't do this. I ain't do that. It wasn't love initially. It's love now. So I fuck with all them the long way. But he was fucking with me.
But let me rephrase that then. You worked your way up through the ranks with several different people who have mentored you or helped you.
Mentor me. And the only people that mentor me in this game is that I will give that kudos to is Keith Veeney. Like, he's one of the realest in this shit. Mentor. I'll call him. Yeah, you can say you're a mentor. And the Thompson family. Nobody else mentored me. Everybody else was just opportunists. It's a young, hungry nigga ready to go all the way to be great. We're going to take advantage because we're in position to. But everybody else turns a mentor, which is like give me game and do stuff for me without nothing in return. Keith Veeney and the Thompson family. And I might be leaving somebody else out, maybe. And if I do, I'll apologize to them in person. But them the two that come to mind.
No problem. Let me rephrase it again then. Who are you now doing the same for?
I mean,
or do you have anyone right now who you're doing the same in which was done?
I mean, they would have to speak to that. You know what I'm saying? But who I feel like I fuck with, who's younger than me, and in the larger scheme of things, we're actually peers, but because we're only probably like 3-4 years apart, but younger than me and coming up in the game, less experience is, you know what I'm saying? Like I already said, Marcellus from Legit Stats. I mean, you can go look at he's tweeted publicly about that a million times about how I've always shown him love, never done him dirty, never played with him about no money. Chad Wilson, me and Chad will do an event the same day. I'm still going to text him, hey, good luck with your event. After the event, we busted up. So what you think you could have done to make it better? How did your event go? I fuck with him. He played in my shit. How I'm not going to fuck with him? Josh Morgan, triple threat training. I holler at him. That's my man. We beat the pavement. Anything he need, he know it's 100. You know what I'm saying? Like all the young guys in the game. Anybody who I feel like is Coleman Ayers from, you know what I'm saying, By Any Means Media is another person I take under wing, show that love to. We had that relationship. We 100. Any of them dudes, like it's love. Like it's not. I would never even play the game like that. It's too much money out here, and it's not even that serious when it's just some young kids who are trying to be great who have a passion for basketball.
I got you. Well, you always have my support. So any project that you have, make sure you just send it to me.
That too while we at this, bro. Please let these people know. These people think that like I'm you, and so like people are so goofy.
We can't be the same person if I'm interviewing.
I pay somebody to pretend that you like everybody's just so goofy. Like, all right.
No. What it is like, I saw your hunger, I see your vision, I like your projects, I like your content. Whenever I see it, I just post it because it's specifically related to a lot of it is specifically related to the DC area and basketball. So that's really what that is. And then when I had a chance to reach out to you and you started sending me stuff, you started sending me stuff, that's perfectly fine because that's what the platform is for, to kind of highlight DC area basketball players, organizations, and things like that. But no, we're definitely not the same person. Like you said, you have DMs to prove that. And that's why I thought it was funny when people thought I was taking a shot at you, but I hope we cleared that up. It wasn't a shot. It was just, a miscommunication.
I never took it as that. I never took it as ill intentions. I took it as, but it could also be misleading. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's almost similar to like when Kevin Durant talked about LeBron having the fanboys. He's not taking a shot at LeBron. He's taking a shot at the industry at large. And people, but LeBron knows that people wouldn't understand that. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's really broken down. They know people.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest with you. When I sent that to you or whatever, I honestly thought nobody would even pay attention to that because that wasn't something that I I tweeted or retweeted. I just simply responded to you. I didn't think anybody would even notice.
You got to remember the negativity, the type of aura that's for whatever reason, the type of aura that surrounds me and my endeavors. It's almost like that when you posted that clip of that Red Cup. What's that shit? Red Cup. What's my man name? I don't even want to disrespect him by not knowing his name because you know what I'm saying, he definitely a legend too. You know what I'm saying? But Kurt Smith and all them, Ricky, all them. You know what I'm saying? Even when you posted like that clip, you know what I'm saying? Like, I seen them and they told me that we had the highest viewed episode to date, even higher than Grant Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and like you have to ask yourself, why is that? Like, I have my own guesses.
Well, there was a running argument in the episode, and I think you were trying to express what you were trying to express, and he was trying to tell you something.
They argue
and I think that
on there. Like,
yeah, but I think that drama kind of pushed the views up.
What you mean? Like, that's they like Kurt be turned up. Like, and I don't even watch the show, but like that's all my old heads be saying. Like, yeah, like, cause like full discretion. Like, I remember like Ron Bailey. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say his name because I fuck with him. He's another person that I was good with, then was bad with. Now I'm good with. You know what I'm saying? But he had called me after it came out and was like, bro, you shouldn't even stoop to that level of like going on that platform, like going back and forth with them, blah, blah, blah. Not like disrespect to them, but he thought I was just so much better than that. You know what I'm saying? But I told him, like, sometimes that's what it takes. You have to let people understand what's going on. Like, you have to provide that type of context, because if you leave it to the people, they will always they may tarnish what you're trying to do in your legacy because of a lack of information, or people trusting a source that is not even credible. Like I'm not saying they're not credible. I'm saying like they don't even know me. You know what I'm saying? They like I said, they know me based on these Jasper's conversations over drinks. They don't actually know me until I actually got there. Like,
so that Jasper's thing is a shot at old heads.
Yeah, basically.
That's what you're doing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, and I wouldn't call it a shot, but I would say, like, because I've had meetings at Jasper's with a bunch of people. And I'm like, why do they keep telling me to come here? But I've met people, good men there at Jasper's, and like I've been privy to some of them conversations like at a very young age. Like I met Keith Williams at Jasper's. I didn't even know him at the time, but he was there, and I had a meeting with somebody, and I didn't like the terms of the terms and conditions, and I walked out of the meeting. And years later, he told me, I was there when you walked out of the meeting. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so my point in saying is that it's more speaks to a mentality that's far removed. It's similar to like the rap shit. It's similar to like with the rap, like the old heads in rap who don't embrace like the generations that come. You know what I'm saying? Because for some reason, people have this like notion in their mind that like, because I didn't play basketball in high school, I shouldn't be successful in the basketball business. You know what I'm saying? Like that's, but no one asks David Stern how good he was in basketball. Nobody asks Greg Popovich, like, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
It's a business. It doesn't have anything to do with skill at that point. But you do realize at some point you're going to get older, though, right?
I'm older now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not.
Right, but you're going to get older to the same age as some of these old heads that you be talking about. And are you going to be different in relaying your message to the younger people behind?
What you mean?
Okay, so you're going to still be able to communicate to the younger generations behind you.
I'm going to embrace the younger generation. I'm going to give them that game, and I'm going to put them in position to be great, however I can do. Like, Keith Veeney has made a lot of calls for me. He's done a lot of stuff. Mike Jones, too. Let me not even leave him out. Like, because he's another person I was okay with, didn't know him like that, then was beefing with because I felt like he was a certain type of person, and now very, very close and have been for years. But he's done things for me that I don't care if he plays in my event again moving forward. It doesn't matter because he fucked with me the long way. Like, I know that. Like, I can go as far as to say he loves me. I can say that. Like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Because of the support he's shown you.
When he didn't have to do it, especially with his position where he doesn't benefit from having a relationship with me directly. He doesn't benefit from having a relationship with me. Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean. So, but like at the end of the day, that's the type of old head I think and like I said, I'm not a kid, I'm 33, but I'm saying like, I think that I think when I get older, people are going to show me that love, and I'm going to show that love back, and people are going to regard me in that way. Because, I mean, it happens now. Like, again, like, I'm not even going to get into the street side of dealing with, like, the community of people I deal with about, because a lot of these kids be going to jail. A lot of these kids be doing dumb stuff. Be needing lawyers, needing commissary, needing all that. So I'm not even going to get into that conversation because that's a whole nother thing. Mm-hmm. That's for another day. But I'm saying, like, if that's what you mean in terms of being like a old head and showing love, that's definitely there too. You know what I'm saying? Like, the conversation I would have with a Keon Boyd would be way different than he'd have with even you. You know what I'm saying? Because of he knows who I'm affiliated to. He knows the type of people I know and who fuck with me and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, and a lot of people know that. So I'm saying, like, to answer your question, I think that I'm going to age gracefully in the game, and I'm going to do anything I can to help the next generation of dudes be great. And I feel like I already do that now.
Got you. And I think that's a great thing. And I think that, you know, and you saying that, I think people even perceive you differently than what they may or may not see on social media. But I appreciate you joining me today. I'm glad we cleared up a few things, had a great interview. And as always, you know, if you need any support from me, feel free to reach out.
All right, man. I hope you realize what you just set some shit off today, man. But, you know.
I didn't say you said
I'm
off.
talking about in terms of, I mean, I stand on everything I say 10 toes down. I'm just saying, like, you got some what was it, 104 minutes? You got some things in there. You got some jewels in there. You know what I mean? That's definitely gonna have people talking, but it's a necessary conversation.
Hopefully people, you know, don't take things the wrong way and really listen to what you're saying, the point that you're trying to make, that it's not coming from a negative place.
Do you believe they won't?
Yeah, me personally, because the way we did it, the way I spoke to you, like you're taking shots or whatever, and then you realize how it could be perceived as a shot. I don't think that they'll take it personally. I think that if you do receive a phone call, it may be in a better place where they say, hey, let's talk about certain things and moving forward and going forward for progression, not anything negative.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
You don't know the area too well.
No, I do. But I think that at some point when you are vocal about certain things and things are put out in the open, I don't think it turns always to negative. I think when you let it fester and you hide it and you don't talk about it, then it becomes a bigger issue. Now that it's out there, you may get a call and it may be progression. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be anything you're going backwards. I don't think you're going backwards.
I ain't here to like go on no PR, like cleaning shit up and all that shit. Like I said, I stand by everything I say 10 toes down. And like I said, I understand the game and how it goes. But, you know, I just want people to be very transparent and understand how this thing goes and how passionate I am about what I do, who it affects. And this stuff has real effect on people. And that goes beyond your level of recruitment or your pro potential. I think that's an irresponsible mentality to have and a business model to have. I think that's irresponsible to think that a Mike Aiken doesn't deserve everything that a Jeremy Roach deserves. I think that's irresponsible. And in order to show people that, I have to actually have the Roach relationship.
But I have something. I want to ask you a question about that. So, but why can't Mike Aiken have what Jeremy had, but on his own separate platform? Why does it have to be the same platform that Jeremy used?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's my point. That's the point of why I said if I'm over there championing the inner high kid or my involvement in giving them the platform, a person should just shut the fuck up because.
Oh, and don't attack it.
Because that's going to lend to. That's my point. You gotta. That's the whole point. That's bringing everything full circle of why. Because people. That's why people like myself are valuable because they've actually built a successful business model. It's almost like the first rapper to go platinum without a radio record. You got to champion that guy because he's gone against a whole system that only made to highlight a certain type of song, which is like a certain type of kid, which is. You got someone like me who's versatile enough to do both, which means that it further validates the Mike Aiken because they know I don't actually have to do that. I don't actually just have to stay with that. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but I just think in our area, I just think that those kids have their platform.
What's the platform?
Other kids have their platform. We have in our area, we have takeovers, we have the Rams, we have
teams. That's not a platform. I'm talking about the AAU teams.
Definitely a platform.
They're a part of a platform. But them specifically, if those AAU teams didn't play on those circuits, then they would not have that platform. You can't just say.
Yeah, but you can't. But even it doesn't. Listen, what I'm saying. I get what you're saying. Those if they didn't, but there are some that don't play on circuits and they still provide a platform for their kids, and they still get those kids in school. Right. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter that you play for this particular team and that. No, that's what we're saying. So that's what my point was. Where you,
I'm saying
Mike Aiken should have the
same. Mike Aiken had 30 points. Oh, but they're playing against charter school teams. No, shut the fuck up. Because that's why my role is important, because who else is going to get them to play against Rock Creek at fucking Trinity University? Who else is going to invest in that type of kid, that type of program? Who's going to do that?
I see what you're saying.
What I'm trying to say.
You're saying you're providing a platform for those kids to have a similar platform to others.
Exactly. And have the opportunity. And so when I speak on that glowingly, like, yo, I really just did that, everyone should shut the fuck up. Even if you have something bad to say, because right. In their eyes, and that's eyes, like, people don't realize that in those people's eyes, Arize is that nigga. That's what I'm saying. Like, he does this for my kid. He does this. He gave my kid opportunity to be on Monumental Sports, to be on Watch on Baller's Life, to be on blah, blah, blah. He gave him that shot.
All right. So let's just go back to that for a second. You're telling people to shut the fuck up. And this is one of the things that came up when we were talking about the pats on the back when it initially happened. So this is how people view that. All right. You're an event coordinator. I'm
not an event coordinator. I'm a mogul, and events is a vertical of my hustle.
Well, you throw events. Let me just say that. You throw events that feature teams and feature kids, right? You invest your money in that, but you do in hopes to see a profit from it. And what you're telling people is, after you receive the profit, you want them to shut the fuck up about it when you're talking about what you've done.
Yeah, because that's how people you subscribing to the same business model as everybody else, who's just featuring the private school kids or kids nationally. I can do that.
Right, but I think you're missing the point of how people view that.
I think the people are missing the point. I think the people are missing the point. I get the point. I understand. The point is the pat on your back was the point is the pat on your back was the bank account. That's the point. The pat on the back is the money. That's the pat on the back. That's what people are saying. And I'm saying you don't even understand that, because if I really wanted to really cash out, I could really go to a further extent. I know the game. I know how the game goes. I have all the related. Any nigga in this time, any nigga on this earth, I can't reach out and touch. At least have a conversation. Who can't do that?
Listen to what I'm saying. I think you're missing the point. You're being vocal about receiving praise after you receive profit.
That's a lie. I'm being vocal about what I did for kids in the city. That's what I did. The exact tweet was, I brought IMG to DC, have a home farewell game for two DCIAA kids, and sandwiched it between two charter versus public school matchups. You telling me I didn't earn the key to the city? That's the exact tweet.
Right. You're receiving praise. You're looking for praise after you.
I'm just talking my shit. I'm not looking for nothing.
But I'm telling you how it's perceived online. I have your point, but I'm just telling you how certain things are perceived online. You're looking for praise after you receive the profit, and that's how people look at it, and they say, "What the fuck is this? Like, who does that?" Like, you could do it, like you said, you talking your shit, and when you clarified that earlier, you said you was talking your shit to your people, and your people get it. But the internet is bigger than that. Just like I didn't think my little reply to you would attract negativity. What you're doing with that is also going to attract negativity. It's the same.
And I understand that. But see, the difference between you and I is that what's the indirect recourse of our statements, right? The indirect recourse of my statement is you just might feel a way about Arize, right? Or Arize
might not.
The indirect recourse is minimizing and minimalizing the achievements or the platform provided to kids that wouldn't have that otherwise.
Right, but there's also an indirect effect to that also, where they may not support your events going forward.
Who's those people? Those people that talk shit on Twitter? I doubt they support it. I doubt they
support those people. But wait, so the people that talk shit on Twitter are also people who more than likely are paying to get into your event. They have a connection. You don't believe so? You don't believe that?
I know that's not the truth.
So you're saying that those people who sit and possibly have an opinion about the way you speak about certain things, you don't think they've supported you in any manner ever? You don't think they've ever attended an Arize event?
See, that's
unrealistic.
That's an irresponsible statement. See, saying you're attending a Arize event is to say, if that's the case, why not just do a wheelchair showcase and just have a bunch of wheelchair basketball people, or let me just get whoever
No, you missed my point. What I'm saying is the people who are saying things to you possibly.
Arize just has the juice to pull it off. They're not attending the event because
they're not. They're not attending the event because of
Okay.
Arize. Arize just has the juice to pull it off, but Arize does do it.
Right.
And he is just like you're on the ground for the kids to reach out to you. You're on the ground for the
But
same
they're
people
not
on social media.
they're not supporting me. They're not supporting me. It's not supporting me. I'm the casualty because it's my event. They're supporting their person. You think Darius Miles' parents came to support me? Okay.
No, but did they pay? Did they pay to get in?
That's neither here nor there. But I'm saying that
is everywhere because that's what I keep trying to tell you.
Free? What if they came in for free? Does that mean what? They didn't support?
But they didn't come in for free.
I'm saying if you don't know that. You don't know that. No, listen what I'm saying. You don't know that. You don't know if they came in for free or not. You don't know that. That's speculatory.
No, it's not speculatory.
If they paid to come in, you do not know that.
Listen what I'm saying. I get what you're saying.
No,
I don't know if those
you don't know that.
No, let's just clarify this. I do get what you're saying for those individuals, but I also
don't know if they paid or not to come in.
No, I'm going to admit to that. I don't know if they paid, but I do know on your flyers. But on your flyers, you do have a cover charge. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not disputing that those people may have gotten in for free, but there are people who
you don't know.
Right, but there are people who did pay, and those are the people that I'm speaking to who support your event.
And you're saying that you know for sure those people who talk shit on Twitter?
No, what I'm saying is they have a connection to you, and it's hard to say that.
They have a connection to the product. They don't have a connection to me.
How can the kids have a connection to you and the product, but the people who also
kids are playing in the event? The kid, you know what I mean? You don't think there's
the
ever hold on, listen.
Paying.
You don't think there's ever a parent that said, "Yeah, I'm glad my son graduated, so I don't got to come to none of your shit again." You don't think that happens?
Did they not pay to get in? Probably so. That's my point.
You don't think
if you're on the ground,
you don't think there's parents that come to the events and say, "I wouldn't even come to this shit if not for the fact that my son is playing."
I don't dispute it.
So it's not about the reason. It's not about because if that's the case, me and you should put together an event next week, and I'll just sit in the gym and do jumping jacks, and let's see who comes.
Listen what I'm saying. If you're on the ground for the kids who respect the event, you're on the ground for the parents who pay, or for the spectators who pay to get into the event as well. It's the same difference.
Kids, not to see Arize, to see the kids.
But it's Arize's brand, true.
What does that mean?
And
I just told you, big fish eat little fish, and if a person comes in there put a banner up, they'll think it's their event.
But you also admitted earlier today that you're touchable for the kids. You're also touchable then for the spectators and for the people who pay.
Who Arize is to a kid versus their parent is two totally different things, and an event is a small part of that.
But your event doesn't always just have just parents. It's also spectators who come to watch games too.
Of course. Well, hear what I'm
saying.
So
and because you're on social media, you're open up to their opinion of you as well. That's all I'm saying. If you say something and
you're moving the goalposts. The conversation started off with
you asking for praise after receiving profit.
People come to avoid the events. It just happened to be mine. That's it. You can't say
if it just happens to be yours. It is yours.
Yeah, it happens to be mine, but that's it. But I'm saying it
can't happen to be yours. It's yours, and you built a brand. It happened. You did it. This is your brand.
It's still based on the product. It's still based on the product. The product got to be up to standard. That's the foundation. Is the product. Right, that's the foundation.
I got you. I'm not disputing that, but because you do have a product, you're not only open to people who support the product, you're also open to the people who participate in the product, and you're also open to people who are spectators of that product as well. That's all I'm saying.
We had the DeMatha PVI game this past week.
No.
You know there was somebody that was kicked out the game like in the middle of the fourth quarter.
Okay.
You know why?
Why?
He said something inappropriate. Just because you come in it doesn't give you license to be a fucking idiot.
You're missing the point though. Who did he say something inappropriate to? I don't even think that matters, but who did he say something inappropriate to?
I don't even know. But my point is, you paying your money to support something doesn't give you the license to be an idiot.
I'm not saying it gives you missing the point.
No. The point. I got your point. The point is, if you come to a Arize's event and you pay to come in, it doesn't give you a license. It doesn't mean that you're licensed to say whatever you want on Twitter and tarnish a nigga legacy. It doesn't mean you don't have the license to do that.
And I'm not.
That's not inconsequential.
Let me just make sure I clear this up. I never said that. But what I said was, when you're on Twitter and you say I should get the key to the city, and you're on a social media platform, you're open to whomever. And and you can't disregard those people and act like they're not possibly spectators or
Who
parents.
disregarded it? I started a whole hashtag. If I did the
No,
opposite
no,
of
but
disregard.
listen, what I'm saying. You can't say that those people aren't people who come in to my events or who pay for my event. You can't.
I'm saying I would never know, just like you would never know. So that's all speculation. I cannot speculate whether that's true or false. I don't know. I'm not gonna walk up to every nigga who come to the door and be like, "Hey, yo, you talking shit on Twitter?" I can't do that. That doesn't even make any sense. So I don't know who is and who's not, because majority of people who, first of all, people don't talk shit on Twitter. That's first of all. The only person who even said anything remotely was Anwar's dad, who actually has in private showed me love for the Run This Town segment we did on JMO. So at the same time, you know what I'm saying? I don't even give that no type of, and Anwar, the kid, is my motherfucking nigga. So at the end of the day,
Arize,
I love that kid. So at the end of the day, that's not even real either.
The pod is about to cut off. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. But
That's
what I'm
cool.
saying is, I just want to make sure you understand. Anytime you need any support from me, it's okay for us to disagree. Anytime,
of course.
Yeah, anytime you need any support from me, just feel free to reach out, because I don't want to end it where people think somehow, we don't, a beefing based upon this disagree. That's all it is to it. All right? But I'm going to go ahead and end it. I'm going to go ahead and end it because it's going to cut off at 2 hours anyway.
Okay,
all right?
Yes.
All right. Say that again?
Everything like that. And like I said, man, everything 100 with me, man. Like, I ain't nothing. I stand on everything I say 10 toes down.
No, you straight. And like I said, I don't think you're going to get any phone calls that are going to be a negativity.
I guess we'll see.
Anytime, the next time, we'll see. But the next time you have anything that you're going to release, I'd like to have you back on the show. All right. Thank you.